oh, don't call a black person a name, which is wrong. And whites are inherently racist, but then they have fake white liberals walking around saying carbon taxes for Africa that will literally kill hundreds of millions of people. And that's a conservative number. So, and same thing for Latin America. It's such a sick joke. See, why does the government get caught financing fake Nazi rallies? Because they want you to think that's the racist threat, is a bunch of idiots, most of them feds, marching around. Instead of the real people that want everybody dead for that matter, but they really want people that aren't white dead, they pose as liberals. They're in charge because they know how to camouflage. You know, a crocodile isn't bright purple hopping around wearing a tutu saying it wants to eat gazelle. It looks like a log floating along. It's under the water. And so the thing that pops out and goes, I got big teeth, I'm going to get you, that's not the threat. The fact that they've got TSA and police in black uniforms acting like that means they're really getting to the point of wanting to put their hands on us. And so that tells you they're in in-game mode. Thank you for the call. Great points. Great question. Brian in Canada, you're up next. Then Keith, Jim, and others. And I've not even gotten to the news yet. I covered some of it. It's all at Infowars.com and streaming video at Prisonplanet.tv. Here's what I'm going to do. Quick news blitz when we come back. Then a little portionment of calls. And then we've got our next guest joining us. But I've taken about 10 calls. We've got some breaking news here in a moment. Patrick Dew has actually been a guest of ours because he's a statistician. Rob Dew's brother just saw a city bus going south on I-35 with a huge caravan of police motorcycles and stuff. Either they're escorting the Pope on the bus, which I don't think so, or there could be a drill, which they do more often than not, or it could be a hostage situation. We don't know what it is, but probably a drill or something. But we'll, then that's in Austin, Texas, where we're at. So we'll get his take on that briefly. All we got to do is get the hotline and just call his number and get him on. I guess they're relaying it to the back or something. Briefly, if you visit InfoWarsShop.com, you will see the high-quality water filters and other products with 10% discount with product code WATER. You'll see the Don't Tread on Me and Victory or Death T-shirts that are very popular, the Come and Take It T-shirts, the films, the books, and all of it gets the word out and supports this broadcast. We also have the best vitamins and minerals I found and put in one place, and that's at InfoWarsTeam.com if you want to get discounts on those, InfoWarsTeam.com. Without further ado, let me get into some more of the news ahead of some more of your calls. Wow, there's just so much to get into here, but I've got to say this is probably the top story. Russia sending warships on maneuvers near Syria. This is the third round of flotillas that have been doing maneuvers, and they've been dumping off undoubtedly weapons, and they admit Spetsnaz of the Navy Marine variety there. And so it is a pretty serious situation. Also, Kremlin internet bill signals growing repression of critics by Putin. They're doing similar things here. We're going to be getting more into that. Garbage collectors being trained to be spies here in the U.S. That's back in the news. But I want to go to Patrick Dew, statistician and brother of Rob Dew, the head of InfoWars Nightly News. What did you just see minutes ago when you called your brother, Patrick?
I was on Interstate I-35 at just south of Slaughter trying to get onto the interstate, and I saw a wall of motorcycle cop bikes heading southbound, and they were blocking people from getting on the interstate. But there's a large cushion in between these 16 police officers on bikes, in between them and it looks like a city bus that had one uniformed cop driving it and another gentleman standing in the front of the bus, kind of like where the doorway is facing forward. They just
okay, that's what I thought. It's a redo of one of those Dirty Harry movies to Grant. I bet it's a drill.
Okay, because they just exited at Cabela's, and they were turning down the driveway. They wouldn't let people follow, so I'm trying to...
Okay, now we know where they're at. Dude, get in the car, go over there right now. I'm talking to your brother. He was asking if he could, I know you're due too, but yeah, you guys go over there right now with their lordships and find out what they're up to. Probably a drill to create a subconscious atmosphere of fear Again, they claim it so they're ready when this happens, but the main danger is the state. If somebody sees a gun now, in even a rural area, they shut down whole areas and run around hyperventilating. But it could be a real thing, but I doubt it. That's why they do these, is to create the illusion. It's a simulated attack. I mean, what do you think it is if it has a bunch of cops blocking traffic and a cop driving a bus with somebody in plain clothes standing beside them?
Well, it's strange because they had a larger cushion in front of the bus than they did behind the bus. I would say it was maybe 100 feet behind the bus where they were allowing cars to be, but it was, at least a quarter mile in front of the bus where they were stopping cars.
Well, the feds 12 years ago, it's in my film Road to Tyranny, not Road to Tyranny, Police State 2000, would just shut down I-35 routinely and back traffic up 20 miles. And just search people. It's all fun to do that, but it's to keep you safe, of course. Thank you so much, Patrick Dew, for that tip. We're going to send a team out there right now. They'll be able to call in later when we have our next guest on to give us an update on what's happening. More news straight ahead, a guest on martial law, and more.
You are listening.
We've got a guest, Dan Fight, who popped in for 20 minutes on Sunday. I want to have him for most of the hour because he is constantly ferreting through declassified, public, but also hacked government documents that the government's been confirming are accurate. A lot of times they just leave them on public servers like idiots. I mean, anybody can do that, but they'll have a declassified briefing, but then links to classified stuff in it, and we're able to get it. Re-education camps, Army confirms them. And not one mainstream media outlet would touch it. You'd think Army training to re-educate political dissidents, you'd think that'd be news, but no. You think the new ones for gun confiscation would be news, but something like that, the public doesn't even make that stuff go viral. The more real and hardcore something is, sometimes I've noticed, like won't go viral for a few months, and then later, a few months later, a year later, then it comes out. So it's good. I mean, it's good to put it out because it finally gets out, but it's very, very strange how that works. By the way, I haven't really covered this, and perhaps in the nightly news tonight we'll get into this more, but I've seen some of the videos. In fact, later we should show a clip of one of these. You guys were showing me this morning. They're reporting that as many as 15 million people are marching and rioting in Mexico, but Bloomberg spins it to say thousands protest alleged fraud in Mexico presidential election. Tens of thousands of Mexicans marched to the Capitol yesterday to protest alleged fraud in vote buying in the country's July 1st presidential election. You notice there's almost none of this in our media. Beating drums and waving flags, protesters chanted "Out Pena" in reference to the new president whose victory restored the once dominant Institutional Revolutionary Party, or PRI, to power after a 12-year hiatus. The runner-up denying he was behind the marches, which he said was a citizens' movement. I don't know what the truth is, but there should be more news about what's happening down in Mexico. And they're now just trading out one corrupt party for another. But I don't know. They put in the that latest party, and I tell you, absolute Hades broke out. Protest in Mexico seeks to overturn election results. Forbes is reporting on it. But who knows what the truth is? I mean, it's just a barrel of contradictions. It's kind of like here. There's so much fraud. Who knows what's really going on? Mexico's election fraud protest, deja vu. Another article on that, but it's definitely not tens of thousands marching. Looks more like millions to me, and it's going on in every city of Mexico. So at least folks will protest down there. Here, people are intimidated to protest because they attack folks at the different protests, so it's a fear thing. Didn't work on civil rights activists, the fear, but it certainly works on people today. And, of course, they'll also say, we're not issuing a permit for you to protest. Well, you don't need a permit unless it's like the Macy's Day Parade and you want to block certain roads. That's where the custom of permits has come from. I've had Austin police tell me when I've just got like 300, 400 people at a kind of an impromptu protest outside Rick Perry come up and say, we're going to arrest you if you don't leave. You're not allowed to protest, no permit. And I go, the city's lost a bunch of lawsuits. The cop goes, okay, the riot and SWAT team's getting, and they had guys in riot gear across the street. There's footage of this. And I said, you're going to get sued. And I said, don't commit a crime and violate the First Amendment. You know we're not blocking the street here. And he finally left me alone. But the fact that he would try to intimidate me through color of law just shows the culture of corruption. It's kind of like they say it's the law, you'll be arrested if you don't vaccinate. There is no law. That's a big crime, folks. When they say you don't have a First Amendment, I'll arrest you, and knowing full well what the real law and lawsuits and rulings are. And he knew. And I said, listen, you might beat the rap, pal. You're not going to beat the ride. I'm going to sue you. And I wasn't happy having to threaten him. I couldn't let him trample what's left of America. All right, for the balance of the hour, we're going to be joined by Dan Fite, investigative journalist. He's worked for mainstream outlets there in Minnesota at the Capitol Beat. He's also worked as a citizen journalist and broken a lot of national news stories. Remember a few months ago, he came out with video and documents with his team showing the police taking people and putting them on drugs to turn them and make them informants against Occupy Wall Street. The state police, everybody said it wasn't true. They knew nothing about it. Turned out, of course, they knew they were running it. He's broken a lot of other news, but what he's really good at, and he's invited you to do this as well, is ferret through all the hacks that have gone on with the big open intelligence websites, but also a lot of these are leaked, or Congress or the military accidentally declassifies them, or they leave them on an Army website. You know, oh, hey, re-education camps for people that don't agree with the corporate takeover. That's the Army confirmed. Yeah, that's our document. Shouldn't be public. I mean, come on. Boom. Open and shut. Government's illegitimate. Pentagon reports admitting that they're now under NATO and UN control, to the point of they tell Congress when Congress asks about it. That was once a leaked document 2 years ago. Army War College actually bragged before that they were under foreign control. So, and I remember seeing the head of the Navy War College 6, 7 years ago say that, oh, we now work for foreign banks that have basically captured us. But it's good that foreign banks have captured us because they're free market. No, they're not. They're monopoly combines. We're about to go to our guest, but I want to play this from CNBC because I've got hundreds of articles, Financial Times of London, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Associated Press, Time, Newsweek, Economist Magazine saying technocrats, unelected bankers are going to run things and that there are saviors and good. But no one seems to read those. So here, but the video, we like to play once a week at least, from about a month ago. Here's a short clip from it where they tell us we're slaves of foreign bankers. And guess who works for them? The military. Now, it's illegitimate. The military, by and large, are good men and women. But we need to understand who's over the military now. Foreign narcotics trafficking controlled NATO, itself run by private banking cartel. So that's who the commander-in-chief is now, the narcotics trafficking banking cartel. Here it is.
So mostly what they do is hold summits.
I think that right now the question is, do we all work for central bankers? That's what I want to address to our guest tonight. Is this global governance at last? Is it one world, the central bankers in charge? Jim Urio, you say we've got some downside here, a correction in the markets. Fine. But aren't we all just living and dying for what the central banks do? Aren't we all just counting on the fact that there's a Bernanke put and that we won't go any lower than, say, 5% down from here?
Of course we are, because if we look at the economic data, there's nothing to get excited about.
Then all the